Hey everybody, thanks for joining us here on a rare rainy Monday. We are happy to see it here on 90s Plus. I am meteorologist Chris Bianchi with a full detailed look at your rainy and perhaps even a little bit snowy weather forecast ahead that will include the chance for a bit more rain here in Denver, maybe a few of those wet snowflakes, but also the potential for some below freezing temperatures tonight. So green thumbs, take note. I think you're going to want to cover up those gardens later on this evening. So right now here in Denver, we've got cloudy skies, a little bit of light rain, especially on the north and east sides of the metro area. We picked up almost an inch of rain out at the airport. West of I-25, we are closer to about a quarter to maybe a third of an inch of rainfall, but all in all, a pretty beneficial storm, all things considered, and we're certainly happy to see all that rain. And by the way, Eastern Plains, our friends out there, Akron, kind of Washington County on east, you're getting slammed with some pretty heavy snow at times out there. Could see a quick inch or two of snowfall. Most of that will stick mainly on grassy surfaces, but watch out for some kind of brief travel issues. A little bit of lightning now moving its way into Kansas. Here into the Denver area, mostly just some light rain and snow mixing its way through the metro area. This should start to wind on down within the next hour or two, and I think by about noon we're going to be pretty much done with all of our rain and snow from this event. Could get one or two isolated showers or storms that pop on up, but for the most part, I think we're going to be pretty much done with the rain and snow by about noon, 12:30 or so in the next hour, hour and a half. Now, with that in mind, we got some very beneficial rainfall, precipitation amounts, and in the last 24 hours, in fact, all of this really in the last, 17, 18 hours or so here in Denver, we've picked up almost an inch of rain officially out at the airport, 0.88 inches of rain and snow equivalent. That includes 0.46 inches today. That makes today our wettest day in almost a year. Now, that said, kind of been mentioning this throughout the day, one of the takeaways as well is that we should have the fact that today with 0.46 inches worth of precipitation is our wettest day in almost a year. That is more of a stat about how dry it has been rather than how wet today is, if that makes sense. Normally, we have a lot of half-inch plus rainfall events, but it's been so dry for so long here in the Denver area that 0.46 inches worth of rainfall now good enough to make it our wettest day in almost a full calendar year. Hey, we're happy to see it. Mother Nature, keep it coming if you're watching. But as we head over the next couple of hours, we do have a little bit of light rain and light snow that will continue, but again, next hour, hour and a half, I think most of that does move its way into Kansas and Nebraska. And the rest of today looks pretty cloudy, maybe a few breaks in some of that cloud cover by about 5, 6 o'clock today, especially in the Denver area. But that does start to kind of increase through the night. Now, the problem is when we clear those skies out this early, and we've got a fairly chilly day ahead of us, that probably means we're going to be dropping below freezing throughout much of the Denver area. In fact, already some freeze watches up. I'll show you those in just a second. Right now, 37 in Denver, 38 in Greeley, northeastern quadrant of the state in the 30s, which is pretty chilly for this time of year. Of course, it's the second day of the month of May. Our average high is close to 70 degrees for your day today. We will not be, of course, anywhere close to that here in Denver. Southeast Colorado in the 50s, the warm spot of the state. Could actually get an isolated storm or two this afternoon that does develop. Still got a little bit of instability, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get one or two storms that do pop on up. Most of us, though, looking at just kind of a cloudy, gray, and cool day. Those showers that we're seeing right now break on up in the next hour or two, as I mentioned, and then we deal with, again, mainly gray skies for the remainder of your Monday. It's going to certainly look like a Monday, and it'll feel like one as well. And what I mean by that is, of course, cool gray skies, making it feel Monday-like. Tonight, temperatures drop back below freezing, so again, cover up those gardens if you haven't already. Shut off those sprinklers if you can. I'm going to say this as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it does go a little bit below 30 in a few spots. So we could be talking about some upper 20s. So we're starting to get potentially into that hard freeze territory, which could, again, damage some crops and plants that you might have already started. So just keep that in mind here, folks, as, yeah, unfortunately, we could be talking about some temperatures upper 20s, low 30s, certainly in the mountains, but of course, growing season hasn't really begun in the mountains yet, but 30s for most of us here in the northeastern plains. And again, just wouldn't be surprised if a few of us do touch 28, 29 degrees because we clear on out so early. That allows that radiational cooling to take place. All that heat that you build up during the day, when you've got clearing skies, all that heat that you've got is essentially allowed to just kind of dissipate on up into the atmosphere, and you're left behind with just that cold, dense air that sinks down towards the surface. And this is the result. Freeze watch in place for El Paso County. I would not be surprised if this gets expanded north into the Denver area, certainly into the Palmer Divide, and probably into Denver proper as well. So freeze watch, that'll be for overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, and that does include our friends in the southeastern plains. Now tomorrow, a lot of cloud cover in place for us, especially during the afternoon hours. Our next system starts to roll on in. That will increase our clouds, but we do have a mostly dry day on tap tomorrow. In fact, a fully dry day on tap tomorrow. Those temperatures do rise on up into the low 60s for us into the Denver area. And then tomorrow will be, I should say, upper 60s for your day tomorrow, with those highs getting close to about 70 degrees in a few spots. Winds are a little gusty at times, 10 to 30 miles an hour, especially south and east of town. I think we'll see some stronger winds, but here in Denver, you'll notice a bit of a breeze. I would call tomorrow a bit more breezy than windy, but we do have some winds out ahead of our next storm system. So let's time that storm system out for you. This one arrives from the west, the mountains. Some rain and snow arrives tomorrow night, especially after dark, in places from Vail Pass, Rabbit Ears Pass on west, looking at some of that rain, some of that snow. And then by Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, that's when some of that rain and some of that snow starts to reach us here in the Denver area, with some of those showers generally light at times. You could see a rumble of thunder or two, especially in the southeastern part of the state, moving their way into our region. And then that rain and that snow sticks around for Wednesday night. In Denver, I think it's going to be all rain here in Denver, but I think for us here in Denver, this rain event won't be as significant as the one that we're looking at now. So probably looking at maybe a quarter, maybe a third of an inch of rain out of this one here in town. And then it gets on out of here by Thursday morning. We'll be long done with this by the time we get to around lunch hour on your Thursday, with some morning cloud cover on your Thursday. But I think Thursday is mainly dry. It's mostly on Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night that we're talking about that rain. Could see an isolated storm with that as well. And then we dry on out and we really warm on up for the rest of the weekend. This weekend, especially for your Saturday, you could be talking about temperatures closing in on 90 degrees on your Saturday afternoon. So a warm weekend ahead, but then much cooler for your Sunday and Mother's Day, looking pretty cool and stormy with those showers and storms mixing their way into the picture for your Sunday. Monday we do cool back down with highs back into the upper 60s for us here in the Denver area, and watching the potential for a storm system that looks to mostly stay to our north, but one that could pass enough, close enough to us here on your next Monday that we could be talking about some more rain here in the Denver area. It's still a little bit far out, so we'll have more detail on that as it gets a bit closer. Now, we certainly need all the rain and all the precipitation we can get. We just finished our third driest April on record here in Denver, and our driest April since 1963. That covers 140 years of official climatological records here in Denver. So it has been dry for a long time. We've got severe, extreme drought across much of eastern Colorado, and abnormally dry and moderate drought conditions throughout the Denver area and throughout much of the mountains. So really statewide we need the moisture, and we are getting some right now. That's certainly beneficial, but the reality is we need a lot more than this. This is a start. I don't want to be too much of a negative Nancy, especially since we're getting the rain, since we're getting the snow right now, but we do need more than what we're getting at the moment. So again, Mother Nature, if you're watching, will certainly appreciate some more rain. I know we've got some more chances for your Wednesday, maybe early next week as well, but again, we do need more rain. But today, a good starting point with nearly an inch of rain officially out at the airport. That is certainly some great news, but it clears on up in the next hour or two. Meteorologist Keely Chalmers will have more details coming up at 9 News at noon, and Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin in at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10 on the 9 News family of networks. Meantime, I'm Meteorologist Chris Bianchi here on 9 News Plus. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your Monday.